Milly Santiago and Suarez. We only have 1 hour to get through as many questions as possible, so please do not go over your allotted time. In front of you is a timekeeper, Sean. He will hold up a yellow card when you have 30 seconds left and a red card when you have 15 seconds left. Again, please respect the audience's time and do not go over the allotted time per question. Each of you will now have 3 minutes to introduce yourself to the audience, and then we will start with the questions. We'll start with Milly Santiago first.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for being here. I first of all want to thank the Northwest Community Church and the Belmont-Cragin Association and Alonso Zaragoza for putting this together. My name is Milly Santiago, and you know that we are in a runoff. April 7th is the day, and I am proud to have been endorsed by the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times, because the endorsement lets me know that I am a strong candidate, that I am a candidate with vision, a candidate that will bring changes to the 31st Ward, and I think it's also about bringing transparency, respect, honesty, integrity to the 31st Ward. My candidacy, according to the Chicago Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times, represents that I am a candidate strong enough to continue bringing down the machine of Joe Berrios and Ray Suarez. So I am here to win, and I'm here to continue bringing my positive message of change to the residents of the community. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for putting this together. Alonzo, the Northwest Community Church, Pastor Petit, and all the people that are here. Thank you for coming by. I am most proud of being able to use my experience with the City of Chicago to make the City of Chicago work for the residents of the 31st Ward. Through creating hundreds of units of housing, creating thousands of jobs, protecting and improving our schools, activity, engaging residents and the police to reduce crime by 27% from 2013 to 14, we have been able to create a thriving community to live and work. The last 4 years, our economic has been down, and it hit our community hard. However, we did not stop from going out and getting companies to come down on the 31st Ward and lay their roots. In 3 years alone, I had created over 2,200 jobs in the ward. The majority of the jobs came from 2 projects: the redevelopment of the Marshall Field building into a high-tech data center, a factory, a community, a industrial warehouse, and Walmart, who came into our community. Each one of these companies, the Marshall Field building brought over 1,900 jobs, and the Walmart brought 350 jobs. We are able to convince these companies to invest millions of dollars in our community without providing a single TIF subsidy to come into our community. We were able to get these companies to hire qualified people from the community first. But we ensured that these good jobs in paying living wage, I support the passing increase of the minimum wage of Chicago to $13 an hour. I was a co-sponsor. Now more money is being created and going into our communities to support small businesses. One of my most important jobs is to make sure our children have the right learning environment so they can develop skills needed to do the job in the market. I'm proud to have secured over $140 million of education dollars to invest in our community. We have a state-of-the-art new high school that I helped build in North Cran, and have modernized Kelvin Park by bringing $9 million to retrofit Kelvin Park to become a 7th and 8th grade receiving center, plus 9, 10, 11, and 12. Housing is a real opportunity, and I have used this experience in making the 31st Ward the right housing development to serve our needs. I've made sure that seniors have affordable quality housing, and I'm building my 4th senior housing home in the ward. It is on George and Cicero. As a Vietnam veteran, I understand how important it is to make and pay back those who serve our country. I am working to develop a new concept of a senior housing project that'll have 62 units for veterans and 62 units for regular residents. Thank you.
First question. Both candidates want safe streets and want to hire more police. But what specific steps are you going to take as alderman to improve safety in our community? 2 minutes each. We'll start with Milly.
The crime and public safety is a big issue here, and it's a big issue in the community, in the entire city. I have been talking to thousands of families and residents for the last 8 or 9 months, and all I hear is people feeling unsafe even in their own homes. We need more police protection and to hire more police, but yet, if we hire more police officers and yet they are not going to be put in specific areas and the hotspot areas where crime happens more frequently than in other areas, then it would be waste. My commitment to continue to combat crime is to engage the residents and the parents into something more proactive. Parents that would be involved in the education with the kids, residents who get to know each other and be the eyes and ears of the community. I want to be able to create a sense of responsibility, a sense of people getting the hands getting the hands on where the problems are. We have to improve the communication and the relationship between the police officers and the community. Sometimes it's very, very sad that residents say they do not trust the police because the police is not to protect themselves, but to sometimes be kind of blunt or unfair with the kids. We need to try to improve the relationship between the police and the residents because they have to work together. I want to be able to be out there, if I'm elected, to the hot spots where the crimes are happening, talking to people and making sure that they know I'm out there, and if I cannot solve the problem immediately, I'm going to try to build different coalitions with organizations in the area, with the rest of the aldermen that are surrounding this area, because it will be a good thing to do. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Let's save our applause to the end. You're taking up time that we need for the questions. Alderman?
As crime is down on by 27% in my community, I spend countless of hours bridging the community with the police department. I am going to build black clubs. I'm going to recruit black cop captains that'll be the intermediates between the community, my office, and the police. We're going to work hand in hand, and we're going to make sure that we fight crime the way it should be fought by engaging and making the residents be part of the solution, working with us, being our eyes and ears also. But I want to let you guys know one thing in the 31st Ward. Everybody was telling me that CAPS meets every 2 months, that it is unacceptable, and I agree. And I just finished an agreement with the police superintendent and the first deputy superintendent. In the 31st Ward, we are going to start having CAPS meetings once a month again on a trial basis for 6 months to see how many people come out and participate and become part of the solution so that we can get rid of this problem, so that we won't have any more excuses that we don't meet enough. It'll start in April or no later than May. So I want you guys to know and take that message back. The CAPS in the 31st Ward will meet once a month from now on. But that's because we work hard in making sure that they know what are the problems and what are going to be some of the solutions as we listen to people and we motivate people to say, hey, listen, I see this, and I will bring it to your attention, and your office will bring it down to where it's supposed to be. I want to remain anonymous, and we'll respect that. You want to remain anonymous, we'll respect your anonymity, but our office will be the intermediate that will bring the information down to the police department. Thank you.
All right. Yay. Number 2, everyone in this room wants great schools in the ward. What specific actions are you going to take as alderman to make sure that all of the schools in the ward, public, charter, and faith-based, improve during your 4 years in office? 2 minutes each. We'll start with Ray.
Well, I have brought over $140 million, first of all, to the schools in my community. And that money was invested in modernizing and making our schools better. And we're going to work with the Board of Education because people think that the alderman has the sole authority to fire a principal and to fire a teacher and to bring somebody else, to take the job. That's not the way it is. These people have contracts, and you have to respect those contracts, whether you like the teacher or you don't like the teacher. But we're going to work together to make people more responsible, and if that principal doesn't do the job she's supposed to do, then we got to get rid of her, because that's where we start. She's the part of the team. And I'm going to make sure that charter schools are held to the same accountability as the public schools. I don't have any charter schools in the 31st Ward. Unfortunately, we don't. And when the Board of Education closed 50 schools, we didn't close a school in the 31st Ward. And when I'm being accused of voting for the closing of 50 schools, it shows that they don't know what they're talking about, because the power to close schools doesn't fall on the alderman. The state of Illinois gave the authority and the power to the school board. Those are the ones that vote to close a school or open up a school, and that's very important that we understand this. But I want to make sure that schools are held accountable for what they're teaching, and if they don't teach our kids properly, then we should start taking the steps to get rid of that team and bring in a new team that will do the job and do the job for our community, and to make sure that the future of tomorrow, which is our children, are educated properly.
When he says that he has brought $140 million to the schools, first of all, I want to know if he has some documentation to prove that, because we all know that the great majority of the funding for schools come from the state. As far as I'm concerned, the aldermen don't have any power whatsoever to set aside additional funding for the schools. And most of those monies are automatically assigned to the schools for infrastructure, for the buildings, and for the maintenance of the schools. He likes to take credit for things that sometimes he hasn't done. And you know what? When he says that $140 million have been invested in the 31st Ward, I question, where is the priority when it comes to the kids and it comes to the education? One school in our ward is at level 1, only one school. The rest of the schools are not performing at a higher standard. Kelvin Park High School has been in the probation list for 19 years. 19 years. He said that he brought $9 million for some projects. But what about the priority, which is the kids, the children? We are not improving the quality of education. We are not focusing on the future of our children. We have to do something about. When he takes credits on things that he hasn't really get hands on completely, I question, because 2 weeks ago, as a matter of fact, he called a press conference in Kelvin Park to announce the seal of biliteracy, something that he had nothing to do with. And in fact, he knows that the project was created, it was an initiative by Dr. Julio Cruz, and that was a bill signed by Pat Quinn in August of 2013. He did not even invite Dr. Cruz to the press conference, so, I just wanted to let you know that I know what that is.
We're going to keep moving. We do have the time at the end to talk about what you would like to talk about. The 31st Ward needs a 24/7 alderman. Will you have any outside jobs aside from alderman? Where will your aldermanic service office be at? What will be the operating hours of the office? How many ward nights will you have? Will your employees all be residents of the 31st Ward? How will you choose the employees? 2 minutes each. I will start with Milly.
I will be a full-time alderman. There's no question about it. This is a job that is not only full-time, it's 24/7. Because in order for you to be effective and in order for you to be the leader of the community, you have to be out there at night, on Saturdays and Sundays, engaging people into new projects. I want to make sure that my staff is represented according to the diversity of the ward. We have Latinos, we have African American, we have Anglos, we have Polish, we have other Eastern Europeans, we have a lot of Filipinos. So I want to make sure that my office and my staff represents what the award is all about. I want to be that person who will address the issues in a fair level, that if something is coming to the ward, we have a special grant or something that could be distributed to community organizations. I want to make sure that each of those organizations, each of those groups are well represented and get the fair share. One of the things that I really also want to stress is on the fact that I want my office to be an open door to everybody, that anybody who has a problem can come to my office at any time and that person will be treated with respect. If I don't have the solution to the problem, I want to make sure that I build those coalitions with community organizations, with churches, with other leaders, other political leaders in all levels possible, city, county, state, and federal, to make sure that if I cannot do it because it doesn't fall under my jurisdiction, I want to make sure that we have a good coalition, good relationship with everybody so that I can make sure I bring the solution to that person. But I am not going to let anybody hanging when it comes to solution, and I will not be ones who said, oh, that's not my problem, call 911. I want to be there for everybody no matter what. Thank you.
I'm a 724 Alderman. I don't have any other job. I've done this, and I will continue to do it. It's my job. That's the job I chose to do, and the privilege that the people in the 31st Ward gave me to serve them. My office staff is mixed. My office staff, we speak 3 languages. We speak Spanish, we speak English, and we speak Polish. And if we have to speak another language, we have to go out and take some classes, but we're going to try. My office is open 5 days a week. War night is on Monday, and we've been doing a good job in war night. And we don't, anybody, our office welcomes anybody, and we've done this, and as an experience, I don't care who you are, what language you speak, what's your status, whether you can vote or not vote, you're welcome to come into our office, and you'll be properly and respectfully treated, and we will try to solve the problem that you have. And we do a lot of problem solving day in and day out, because people deserve the right to come to our office or to any political office and ask for help. And as far as working with different organizations, we work with everybody. We work with any organization that we have partnered up with, and we just went today to the Northwest Housing Center, which is a brand new, great organization that's going to open up in the Northwest side here in Chicago, and they have a great group of young people that are dynamic, they're full of energy, and they want to work. And that's what this office is about. It's about working and solving people's problems. And we're going to continue to do that, because there's no reason why we can't do that for anyone. And sometimes we get complaints from people that tell me, I called this office and they told me to go downtown or to call 911. We don't do that in our office. We give service because that's the way that people expect to receive when they come to our office. Thank you.
We have a serious problem with illegal parking in the alleys, illegal conversion of single-family homes, and loud music playing at all hours of the night. As Alderman, what specific actions are you going to take to address those 3 issues? 2 minutes each. We'll start with Ray.
Well, we do have a problem with illegal parking in the alley, and if there's people parking illegally in the alley and we know about it, we will send the police to the alley and have that car ticketed, and if it's got to be towed, it'll be towed. And if we have problem with loud music, I wrote the ordinance on loud music in Chicago, and when the police are called, they enforce it. I know they do. But the problem is a lot of people don't call. Some people call, I know that, but most people will put up with that inconvenience. Call the police department, and if you don't get a response the day you call, then the next morning you call my office, you talk to whoever you're going to talk to and said, I call at 10 o'clock and there was no response, I called at 10:30, and then we'll find out what happened. And if you call enough, the police department will have to show up. Now, as far as illegal apartments, I'm against illegal apartments as anybody else. But I am not going to walk around the streets as an alderman and go in your house and point out that you have an illegal apartment. But if a neighbor of yours calls my office and turns in the complaint, because I don't want people to be afraid to invite me to their house to talk to them because they have an illegal apartment. We will do what it takes, because we'll take it to the building department, we'll go to court, and we'll follow it through until the problem is corrected. And we have done a lot of illegal apartment correction because it is our duty to do it. But we want people to call us and complain about it. I don't want anybody saying, well, I don't want Suarez coming around on my block because they're going to find an illegal apartment here. That's not what I'm about. That's not what I was elected for. I was elected to solve problems, not to create problems for people.
That has been one of the issues that many of the residents have expressed to me. The fact that not only they park on the alleys illegally, but they also do a lot of other illicit activities, like, having sex in a car, dealing drugs in the cars, smoking pot in the cars behind anybody's property. I have talked to people who have been kicking out people that are in the car behind their garage. And they have said that sometimes they call police and it takes forever. So one of the things that I really want to do is, again, try to engage the community, the residents, into something more proactive. If you see something, you call. If nothing happens, you start doing a change with the rest of the residents by you, so that everybody calls. I think it says a lot about the safety in some of the areas. Some of the alleys are also very, very dark. Especially, I had my light behind my house out for about 4 days, and it was really scary. And sometimes when that happens, the city takes a long time. The alderman's office takes a long time before something is corrected or done. And on the issue of apartments, there's a lot of units in our ward that are facing that problem. A lot of units that are not legally fractured, and people need to speak up and denounce it and go to whatever, to the office, or call the city, or call the buildings department, because that cannot be accepted. I think we all pay property taxes, and people need to be respected and follow the law according to the city ordinance. Thank you.
If for some reason you are unable to finish your 4-year term as alderman, who would you recommend to the mayor to replace you? We'll start with Milly, 1 minute.
Who do I recommend if I don't finish the term?
Assuming you win, something happens, you can no longer continue the 4-year term. Who would you recommend to the mayor, because that's how the process works, in order to find a replacement?
Well, I think it's a little too premature. It's a little too soon, because first I have to cross that bridge before I'm elected. Hopefully, I'll be elected and I will finish the full term. But if something happens to me, let's say it's something about health, or I am indicted on some corruption or something, at that time, who's going to think of who's going to replace me? I think it's a little too premature. I would have to be elected before I answer the question.
Well, when I get elected, I will finish the 4-year term, so I'm going to recommend Ray Suarez to take my place.
Yeah, the only reason we asked this question is because not too long ago, an alderman died in office, and it's good to know who would take that position. Next question. We have a budget problem to fix. What are some of your solutions to fix the budget gaps that Chicago currently faces, and will you vote to raise property taxes? We'll start with Ray. 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yes.
Well, we do have a budget crisis, and I support, first of all, I will not vote, and I'm telling you right now, I will not vote for property tax increases at all. No matter what happens, I will not support a property tax increase. I'm tired of everybody going to the homeowners to solve all the crises. We got to look at TIF. TIF reform is very important. TIF dollars are being used, in my opinion, it responsibly. So we have to figure out a way to use this money in a conscientious way. And before dealing with this issue, the 31st Ward, we were able to redevelop the Macy Building and the Marshall Field Warehouse, and we didn't use TIF dollars. So if we can do it, other people can do it. And looking at the tax revenue, I think that we have to look at the sales tax and see, it's so antiquated. It's a system that does not fairly tax services in the city of Chicago that we raise tax. We should raise tax on luxury items, non-essential, such as hiring an accountant or a public relations firm or other professional services. And I also believe that once we get the casino, the money that the casino brings should be totally devoted to pay for the pension obligations that we have in the city of Chicago. But we should not, and I repeat, we should not pay property taxes to solve these crises that were created with irresponsible actions.
We all know that the city of Chicago is in big trouble, and it's been like that for a long time. And when we see that every year after, every time they present the budget to us, it's cuts here and cuts there, and money that's going to be allocated for education. We get taxes on a lot of things with the excuse that it's going to go to fund public schools or to fund some other priorities in our daily lives. But then we run out of money, the schools don't get money, the situation continues to be the same. We need to look at a bigger picture. I am totally against property tax. I don't think our homeowners should continue to be punished year after year, especially those seniors that are on fixed income and don't have a salary increase every year. Seniors that have been homeowners for about 30 or 40 years, and yet they make maybe, I don't know, $50,000 a year, and then when you continue to raise the property taxes, it's unfair. So I think we need to look into other options, maybe luxury expenses, people who own boats, people who make more than $200,000 or $300,000 a year. They should be paying a higher tax in order for the middle class or the working class families or low-income families could continue to survive. My intention is not to vote for property taxes at all. If that seems to be the last resource, then it would be the last resource. But for now, I don't believe in raising property taxes. I think our families are burdened every year, and something is not right. We need to continue working towards the families to make sure that our families stay in our city, in our ward. Thank you.
Rumor has it that a number of charter school proposals are going to be brought up for the Northwest Side. Aside from being in favor of a charter school moratorium, will you actively resist and fight against all additional charter schools from coming into the 31st Ward? Also, have you taken any money from charter school lobbies or advocates? You have 1 minute. Milly?
I have not taken any money from anybody representing charter schools. That is a fact. I want to make sure that our local schools are a priority. We don't have any charter schools in our ward, but the minute a charter school come in our ward, that means that our schools are not good enough for our children. And we have to make sure that we provide more resources. We bring more money to the classroom. We assist the teachers in providing them with the necessary resources and help that they need. I don't oppose charter schools because I think families have the right to choose. Sometimes competition is good, but we want to make sure that we have the best schools in our ward, that our schools are the pride of the families, that more newcomers continue to come here and set roots and raise their families here. Thank you.
Thank you, Milly. Aside from being in favor of a charter school moratorium, will you actively resist and fight against all additional charter schools from coming into the 31st Ward? Have you taken any money from charter school lobbies or advocates?
First of all, I've never taken any money from charter school advocates. I do not have any charter schools in the 31st Ward at the present time. People have tried to come. I said no for now. But I will tell you, I believe that my responsibility is to make sure that this public school system in our ward should be the best, the finest, and the most effective system in our community. But I also believe that all the schools in our ward are overcrowded. There isn't one school in our community that's not overcrowded. And our kids get put on a bus every day, every day. And I feel that if a charter school came in and it was a good school and I presented the idea to my residents and they're in favor of it, then we would put in a charter school, because I don't want to bus 500 to 600 to 800 kids daily out of our community. I want to keep them in our community and learn in our community.
What is your policy on accepting campaign donations from companies, lobbyists, or individuals with pending business before the city council or city council committees? 1 minute each. Ray?
All right, we have rules in the city council, and I follow the rules that are in place on the city council for campaign contributions.
I would be totally against accepting any money from organizations or companies or corporations who do business with the city. That's a conflict of interest, and I think my integrity would be at stake. So to make it clear, I want to make sure that I do not follow the steps of some other elected officials that have been in office for a long time, and they have made millions of dollars in political contributions in their war chest. You know, some of these monies have come from organizations and corporations who are doing business with the city or have some personal interest in a specific ward, especially when it comes to bringing a new developer or a development or something like that. I want to make sure that when something comes to my ward, it's because the community need it, and it's because it has transparency above all. Thank you.
We have a serious lack of opportunities for our young adults in the ward. There are few jobs available, no community centers for them to use in the ward, and the parks and schools offer very little programming for them and never in the evening. What specific plans do you have to make sure that young adults have something to do in the ward as a productive alternative to being on the streets? 2 minutes each. Milly starts.
Unfortunately, our kids, our youth don't have many options, many opportunities, especially during summertime or after school. We need to continue bringing more resources to the school or be more creative when it comes to keeping our kids safe and busy in something more productive. One of the things that I would love to do is to create some type of a program of retreats where we take the children and teens to a retreat for a week, for a month during summertime, and to expose them to career opportunities, to dream and succeed, expose them to a series of opportunities to get to college and to learn something instead of just having them being out there on the streets. I think it would be a great help for the parents who sometimes don't have any option with the kids during summer because they work 1 or 2 jobs. We have to be more creative. We have to try to talk to all the organizations that are in the area that don't have the funding. I will compromise myself to try to create a special fund from our own budget or even from my own salary if it's necessary to create some sort of a project and give them scholarships to go to college and engage them in some other projects. Unfortunately, I've been talking to people and they have been very upset because nowadays, the majority of the activities and projects with Chicago Park districts require a fee. And our families cannot pay for those fees to keep the kids there doing something productive. So I will try to be more creative in bringing different activities on my own from my office to keep our kids safe.
Okay, it is true that the problem that we have in our community is that we have places, but they're not big enough to absorb the amount of children that we have in our community. The schools have after-school social services. The parks have it, but they're just too crowded. Some faith-based organizations in our community are providing those services, and a lot of people don't want to use those. They should start using them. I put in a proposal, which is a new TIF. It's coming on Diversey, going from Cicero to Central, and by Lockwood, I put in a corridor to get to Cragin Park, and we're gonna build a brand new field house, which will be similar to the park that's on Fullerton and Washtenaw, and the Cragin School Council will be designing it, and we're gonna have activities there all year round, because right now, what's there is a disgrace. It looks like a little garage, but we're gonna work hard to build this new park and to work, which I believe is important. Let's start taking advantage of the faith-based groups. Like this church has a after-school program that a lot of people don't use them. So why don't we start doing it also until we get enough areas. I brought in at Faulkner School a brand new AstroTurf field that's used all year round. And I put a brand new AstroTurf field at the North Grand High School. All year round. It's got a walking track, a soccer field, a baseball field, a basketball area, and playground for the kids. So we want to build more of those, and we're also now doing is that we're taking all those old playgrounds and re-bringing them up to date by removing their old equipment and bringing in new equipment. So we should modernize and help some.
What is your position on bringing in new restaurants into the ward and allowing them to have liquor licenses? How will you work with the community to ensure that those businesses are a good fit for our community? 2 minutes, Ray?
Well, they come into the office, they talk to me, and if they want a restaurant, most of the time we say yes. If they have liquor, now bring it to the community. We're going to start bringing them to the community. We're going to form a committee on businesses, and if the community in the surrounding area is in favor of it, it would be no problem. But the community has to be in favor of it, because I get the complaints, I get the headaches, and I feel sorry for some of these people, because sometimes a business comes in and they start selling liquor, which is no problem as long as they do it professionally and quietly, but it becomes a nuisance in the community, and then we have to act on it. I have no problem with any personal business that wants to open up in a respectable, professional manner, and as long as my community wants it, it'll open up. That's the way it works in the 31st Ward.
I am totally in favor of creating a stronger business ward. When he says that he feels sorry for those who cannot open a business or something, I question that, because I have talked to business people who have left the ward because they cannot afford to continue living in a ward in which the alderman continues to harass them and to force them to leave. We have so many businesses that have closed, and I'm not making this up. These are statements from businesses that have left the ward. We have affidavits by business people who have been forced to leave the ward after the alderman continues to demand for contributions, sometimes in cash, you know, and This is not a friendly alderman, a business-friendly alderman. This is not a business-friendly ward. I want to make sure that every new business that want to come here to receive them with open arms. On the issue of liquor, you know, you go to every single ward, anywhere in the city, and you have nice bars, nice restaurants with the liquor license. Why not providing a ward where people can stay here, go to a nice bar, go to a nice restaurant, and invest in the community to make sure that the money is kept here instead of them going elsewhere to have fun, to go to a nice restaurant. We have a lot of young people, professionals here. I want to encourage them to open new places and new businesses. Why not? We have all the potential to be a better ward. And unfortunately, the business here in the 31st ward is stagnant, and we have to change the trend. We need to make this ward more business-friendly for the people.
Sean, this is going to be 1 minute. The next one's 1 minute. How are you going to ensure that an individual resident is treated just as fairly as a campaign donor is treated? 1 minute, Milly.
Could you repeat the question?
How are you going to ensure that an individual resident is treated just as fairly as a campaign donor is treated?
I am about fairness all across. I think that's what have distincted me from a lot of other leaders. I am about being fair, and when it comes to donations or to some other special treatments, you know, I want to make sure that my people are treated, that everything is distributed fairly, and that I don't get any sides because somebody has given me money, and you know, I'm not that type of person. I want to make sure that everything that I will do will be with transparency, with honesty and fairness, and not to be someone who would say something today and tomorrow then you punish the person. I am not that type of person. I'll be very fair.
How are you going to ensure that an individual resident is treated just as fairly as a campaign donor is treated?
Well, we treat everybody that comes to our office fair, and nobody's ever asked for a donation like she's stating right now. People come into our office for a service, they get the service that they require, and they go home happy. This office is to take care of everyone. As I said it before, you don't have to be a voter to come to my office. In other offices, sometimes they make it a little harder. In our office, we take care of everyone. I don't care who you are. Sometimes you don't even live in the ward and they come in and they get the service because they deserve the service and they're taxpayers. And we're going to continue to provide service on an equal basis to everyone that comes to my office, because that's the right of every citizen to go in an Aldermanic office, whether he lives there or not. He has the right to be treated and given at least the right answers of what is going on and what are his concerns. Thank you.
Many ward residents want to get involved in the community and have a say on what our taxpayer money is spent on. Outside of a political organization, what will you do to ensure that all residents, both young and old, have a real say and are involved in the civic process? 1 minute each. Ray?
Well, if they want to get involved, call and register, because we're going to start forming committees and we're going to get you to work. So anybody that's interested, call the office, say, I want to get involved. I want to get involved in this committee, housing committee, public safety committee, whatever the committees we're going to form, and you'll be called. Hopefully, you'll come and work with us. That's what's going to happen.
That's one of the things that I would love to do. And involve the community, the youth, everybody into something. I mean, there's a lot of people that have so many talents, experiences in different areas. You know, we need that. We need more leadership. We need more people that are really engaged and that really want to be part of this movement, part of creating a better ward, a better community to live. This is something that sometimes we're lacking. nothing. We forget that there are a lot of people who really want to get involved, but they don't know how. My office is going to be an open door, so everybody who would have an idea, who would like to get involved, seniors, handicapped people, people with special needs, the youth, parents, immigrants, anywhere, could also have a part in some special project as they wish. There's a lot of people who have great ideas, and why not implementing? It's about bringing people together to create a better world to live. Thank you.
Currently, safe passage routes are planned out and drawn by CPS officials that don't live in the area. How are you going to ensure that principals, LSCs, and the community are more involved in the safe passage process to ensure that those workers are placed in the locations that best maximize safety? 1 minute each. Milly.
We have to continue empowering local school council parents in anything that it's involved, that has to do with the community, anything that has to do with safety, anything that has to do with public input. I think parents sometimes don't have the chance to be more participants in the ward or in the school or any other activities or issues that are in the community. I want to make sure that that there's some great information out there, that people are included, that people have the right to know what's going on in their particular neighborhoods, and to have people involved, to have more unity and create the process of participatory in every level. It's a great thing to do. The ward is not about the alderman, it's not about the politicians, it's about the communities in general. Thank you.
Currently, safe passage routes are planned out and drawn by CPS officials that don't live in our area. How are you going to ensure that principals, LSCs, and community are more involved in the safe passage program to ensure that those workers are placed in the locations that best maximize safety?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call the CEO of the schools and make sure that I file the complaint and make sure that the principal and the LSC get involved in helping choose the people that are going to be in those safe passage and who is going to be hired and where they're going to go. And I can assure you that's going to happen, because at times the LSC school board picks the locations and sends and says, here you go. I think it's a great idea, and I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to make sure that it happens, that people are placed in an effective way where they want to work close to a school and become more efficient and more reliable, because there'll be less travel time for them if possible.
There's a huge homeless population, both veteran and non-veterans, in the ward. As Alderman, what are you going to do to provide resources for those residents that are most in need of our assistance? 1 minute each. Ray.
Well, as I said it before, I'm in the process of building another 2 senior homes. Each one of them are going to be 66 units. One will be for seniors, and one will be for veteran seniors who serve in the military, and they'll be able to live there comfortably. The other, we're having the Department of Human Services has got a program, and we're working with them to go out and start offering the folks new ideas on where they can go live, and if we have to help them move, we'll help them move. But we have to make sure that these people want to do this, because one of the problems that we have is we sit here and we complain about it, but when we go out to the location, a lot of these folks don't want to move. A lot of these folks will not accept the help. And then I don't want anybody forced, because then you start opening yourself for criticism. But we are going to do everything we can to offer those people that are homeless, and the mayor, by the way, is got a program that's going to end homeless this year, so there should be no homeless veterans by the end of this year.
Thank you, Ray.
When he says that he's bringing other projects, I want to know if he followed the process of inviting people, so everybody would know what's going on in the ward. That's one thing. I've never received a letter from you inviting me to a community meeting about this project. Second, talking about homeless people, he is the chairman of the housing committee in City Council. He has been sitting in over $500 million for years. and he still doesn't call a meeting with the community organizations to open up the process. There's thousands and thousands of vouchers for low-income people, and yet he has not called any meetings. He doesn't move those funds, and a community organization that advocates for homeless has been criticizing him, as a matter of fact, because there's some money allocated for the homeless, and he has not addressed it.
Final question. The community has lost hundreds of trees over the last few years. What are you going to do to make sure that those trees are eventually replaced? 1 minute. Milly?
I'm not too familiar with that specific issue of how that works in terms of trees being taken down or how they are removed. My commitment is to continue to allocate the money for those trees because, first of all, trees represent a great part of the community. I have seen a lot of trees that are dead for years, and people have been complaining about the removal of those trees because of so many issues. And the trees are continue up there without any action. I want to make sure that if trees have to be taken down, it's because they are completely dead, and they have to be replaced. I want to make sure that that's within the budget so that those trees are back again to the community.
I will have all the folks that have trees removed call my office, and we will have a tree planted in front of your house as soon as possible. That's just simple as that. Call us, tell me you want a tree, and we'll put a tree in front of your house. Now, my opponent just made a statement that she doesn't even know what she's talking about. And this is important that I clarify this. This voucher system that she claims she knows what she's talking about, she's totally wrong. Those vouchers are CHA, Chicago Housing Authority, and they are administered by them. Now, we've been trying to work out an ordinance called Keep the Promise between CHA and the advocates, and we cannot call a meeting until those groups start the negotiation. But that's where this money goes on those vouchers. It is an I who calls a meeting, and even the mayor can't until they reach the agreement on how they're going to agree to spend those dollars.
Well, you should open the process and let people know about what's happening. You should open the process instead of keeping silence to the people.
Candidates, ma'am, candidates will have up to 5 minutes to present a closing statement. We'll start with Milly and then Ray. 5 minutes. Yes.
First of all, I want to thank you again for coming out. It's 18 more days before election. I am very proud of the job that I've done during this campaign. Forcing a runoff to the incumbent of 24 years is a great achievement. Yeah. I want to be the independent voice of the people of this great ward where I've been living for 31 years. I want to be the person to address the issues of the community and to bring the services fairly and quick, instead of people waiting for weeks and months before something is done. I want to be able to be that person who is compassionate to our families, to our kids, to our youth, and bring hope and bring new expectations for our kids to be in school, to be able to graduate, and to dream to go to college and become professionals. That's one thing that I really want to do. When I came to this city, I came with many dreams. I'm a mother of 2 children. I did a great job as a mother. They are 2 professionals, and I want to be able to look in the eyes of my people and let them know, yes, you can send your kids to college. You can have your kid be the best professional, no matter what the obstacles or the lack of funds or expectations are. I want to be able to support my kids. I want to be able to be that person person who addresses the issues, a person who's not going to be a rubber stamp for the mayor of Chicago. I want to be able to make the decisions based on the interest of my residents of the 31st Ward. I've been living here, and I have a good track record of my accomplishments. Nobody can question, all the things that I've been able to do, and I am very proud of it. I want my people to be ready to embrace change, not to let themselves be intimidated, to vote for change, to vote for a new leadership, and not to vote for tradition. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to start by correcting some errors. I'm going to correct your error. People are saying that I don't do enough in the schools. My opponent says she lived in a school in this community for 31 years. Mr. Alonso, at the last debate, refreshed my memory when he made a statement, and I agree with what he said because he was right, that for 31 years she's lived in this community, and he was a member of the Kelvin Park School Council, and when there are meetings to solve problems, he never saw my opponent there. I've been there, I know that because we see each other. Irma Cornell's a member. But, to say that you do something and you don't do it, that's correct. If you're going to be a member of the community, then go to CAPS meetings, go to marches, march with us against violence. Come to the schools when there's a problem. Go to a block when there's a problem. I have never seen my opponent there, with all respect that she says she has. Never. And if she says she went there when she was working, then that might be true, but she was getting paid to go there and cover that story. Simple as that. But I got the floor. I got the floor. Let me speak. You stated that I took credit for your husband's biliteracy seal.
You know the name of the program.
Yeah, right. You taught me wrong. Here's a letter. Here's a letter. Here's a letter from Janet Nolan, who works for the Illinois Seal of Biliteracy, stating the facts about this program. And in 2007, I did a resolution for the biliteracy seal to make it more acceptable in moving the city of Chicago. I didn't take credit for the biliteracy seal. I didn't pass it. It was passed by two people in Springfield, Senator Iris Martinez and State Representative Cynthia Soto. And I specifically made that clear. And Janet Nolan was there, and she heard the statement, and it's right here in her letter. So for you to go out on radio and tell people here that I took credit for something I didn't do, you're sadly mistaken, and you should tell the truth. That's the problem. You stretch the truth. You should not be telling people things that are not true. I do not accept the credit. All I did was I brought it to the Board of Education so that the Board of Education would accept this and start providing this program to our kids so that when they graduate, they'll have another tool to make it easy to get to what they want to do. Now, I want to work in this community, and I want to continue to improve our community, and I want to continue to bring the programs that we've been bringing. And when it comes to jobs, no one has brought more than 1,600 jobs from any of my colleagues at one time. I did that, and I did it on my own. All we did was we offer those people an 8B and a 6B tax program. We didn't give them any tips. Same thing with Walmart. Every time Walmart comes into the city, they get millions of dollars worth of TIF. This Walmart is spending $60 million. $60 million out of their own pocket. Not a penny of TIF. And you know what? That TIF that I saved there is going to be used to create parks, to build playgrounds for the kids, and to build more buildings that we can help seniors and people that are homeless. So I'm going to continue to do my job the way I've been doing it. And this ward is considered one of the cleanest wards in the city of Chicago, and I can tell you that. And also, if you read the newspapers, I'm one of the few aldermen that returns over $75,000 back to the city council floor because I don't use that money. In my office, we raise money and we pay the office expense. We don't take a penny, and I return that money back every year to the general revenue fund. So I pay for the electricity, the heat, the phones, the paper supplies, everything that goes on in the service office, we pick up the bill. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud of you guys giving me the opportunity to serve you. We're going to continue to do the great things in the 31st Ward. I wish everybody luck. Have a nice evening, and God bless you all.
All right, so the candidates will stay here a couple minutes later. You can speak to them on their own time. I just want to send special thanks to the Northwest Community Church, Pastor David especially. Sean Starr, our timekeeper. The Belmont-Cragin United Community Organization. If you turn the sheets, the agenda, you'll see that we have a Facebook page. Please go on Facebook and like our page. We have a lot of programs coming up in the next month, especially for summer, to help reduce crime. And everyone that helped put this together, thank you so much.